Hey guys, and welcome to Assist Type A, a video series where I just want to give some positivity to the FGC community via advice and motivation. Today, I'll be responding to a tweet that I saw on my feed from Pink Cherry. Basically, she's a little fuzzy on what it means to be attacking at disadvantage. So, for today, I'll be giving an example inside of Tekken 7. I'm going to assume that you're familiar with the basics of frame data and what the general idea of having plus frames is. If you're not, I did just put up a video covering frame data, and it'd be awesome if you could go check that out. There's also plenty of other great guides that explain how frame data works, so if mine isn't really working for you, maybe one of the other ones will. Anywho, in this situation, we'll be using Brian's back one as an example. I know that this is Tekken, so there's always the option of sidestepping as well, but for now, let's only talk about the actual idea behind the video, pressing when you're at disadvantage. Brian's back one is +4 on block. In this first instance, I have him set to do his down forward 2-3 string right after the back one. His down forward 2 has 13 frames of startup, so in this specific scenario, a move would have to be 9 frames fast in order to trade with it, and 8 frames or faster in order to beat it. In Tekken 7, the fastest move is 10 frames, unless you're playing Yoshimitsu, but for any other character, you're stuck at 10 frames. This means that in this particular scenario, there is no button that you could press in order to stop Brian without being counter hit by his down forward 2-3. Your best bet in this scenario would simply be continue blocking and to respect the plus frames. However, when and when not to respect your opponent always depends on how they're using their plus frames. If Brian is only ever doing his back one into down forward 2-3, then sure, you might always be better off just blocking. But what happens when Brian starts to use back one into, let's say, back one again? If you played it safe and you just continued to respect his plus frames each time here, you'll never get to press a button, you'll eventually push to the wall, and you're always at risk of eating a mix up with lows. Your other option, however, is to simply go for an attack that you think will be faster than the option that your opponent is going to use. So, using Lucky Chloe as an example, let's run through the scenario of Brian using back one into itself again. Back one is fairly slow, coming out at 20 frames. So, with Brian's +4 on block, I can actually press anything that's 15 frames or faster and still get a counter hit. In this particular example, I used Lucky Chloe's 3-4 for a full launch into a combo. This is technically disrespecting Brian's plus frames, also known as pressing at disadvantage. On paper, the safer option would have been to not risk getting hit by his down forward 2-3. However, when you're actually playing in a match and playing against a human, they have their tendencies and their patterns that you can pick up on. If your opponent is not forcing you to respect their plus frames because they're using them to try and get away with more than they're actually afforded, then the actual correct play is to invalidate their pseudo frame traps. I hope that this helps some. Until next time, keep your chin up, your mind open to learning, and your heart always yearning.